Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar. We have a hot topic coming at you. We're going to be diving in and showing you how not to get haunted by home buying mistakes. So this is very exciting. Let's just give a couple moments here for some attendees to trickle in. All right, if you're just joining us, welcome. We're giving a couple moments here for attendees to come on in, but we have a big show ahead of us here. Going to be covering a quick Rhode Island and Massachusetts homebuyers class, and it's going to be how not to get haunted by home buying mistakes. So, while we're waiting, if you want to throw in the chat, let me know where you guys are coming from tonight. I'll kick us off. My name is Mathew Card. I'm your humble host, and I'm coming at you from Warren, Rhode Island. So I'd love to see in the chat where everyone else is coming from this evening. Oh, we got some shy people tonight. All right. We'll give it time. No worries. No worries. You don't need to divulge too much info right at the beginning. Again, we're going to give another moment or two here for some more attendees to join us. And again, if you're just coming in, welcome. I hope you're excited. We're going to debunk a lot of the myths around home buying and make sure that you don't get haunted by those oh so common mistakes. All right, let's move us in a little bit here. We're going to get started. So as a new home buyer, how do you feel? I'm out there a lot as a realtor. My clients are often stressed. They're concerned, with the market, what are the prices doing, what are the rates doing. There's a lot of factors affecting, how people feel today. They also see the houses are gone in a day. There's not a lot of houses on the market. So there's a lot of feelings of, anxiousness, stress, concern. And I'm hoping I can help make a lot of that go away. So let's keep going here. Oh, let's talk about the agenda for tonight. So in a moment, I'll introduce myself further, but again, my name is Mathew Card. I am a realtor with HomeSmart Realty. I'm based out of Warren, Rhode Island. I'm also an investor. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a moment. But after that, I'm going to give you kind of a snapshot of the Rhode Island and Massachusetts market today. So where it stands, where the opportunity is, and is it a good time to buy? That's what everyone wants to know. And then we're going to dive into the real meat of this presentation, and we're going to talk about the most common home buyer mistakes and how to avoid them. That's very important. And I'm going to leave you with some of my hot tips as well. And then we're going to open it up for a little Q&A, and I even have a little giveaway, a Lego haunted house kit that we'll talk about at the end. So the other thing, if you can see in the right-hand corner of my screen there, I do have a QR code, so you'll see these periodically through the presentation. If at any time you want to just directly book a meeting with me, of course, it's free, doesn't cost you anything, and we can dive deeper into your specific needs and how I might be able to help you shop in today's market. So that's no pressure. It's just there if you ever want to book that meeting with me directly. All right, so allow me to introduce myself again. I'm your host. As I mentioned, I'm a realtor serving Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and I'm with HomeSmart Professionals Realty. And I love working with first-time home buyers because it wasn't too long ago that I was a first-time home buyer back in 2014. And since then, I've continued to invest in properties, and I find it rather fun, exciting, and I love guiding people through the process. So the big thing is, you know, working with me, you're working with someone who brings hands-on experience. I not only help clients, I purchase my own personal properties, and I often do renovations, both hands-on and managing a team. So I do the full gamut. And again, this is kind of where my passion lies. So thanks for joining me tonight. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's take a look at a snapshot here of the market stats for Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Let's start with Rhode Island. Some big things to note here. You know, listings have been increasing this year, especially, you know, over past years. So you see there's over 1,300 new listings. These, by the way, these snapshots are from September, just so you know. The October data isn't fully out yet. But the big things you might want to see is there are listings. They are growing, both in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And then you see those median prices there. You're looking at a median price of $500,000 for your average single-family home in Rhode Island, and you're looking at an average median price of $660 in Massachusetts. Now, is that what you need to pay? Not necessarily. That's the median. So in Massachusetts, that factors in those really expensive towns and cities, you know, Boston and all its surrounding suburbs. In Rhode Island, same thing. It factors in those very expensive coastal areas like Newport and Barrington, etc. So there's great homes at all price points still. Now, what do these snapshots mean? I don't want to just show you numbers. I want to give you some analysis. So first, let's talk about the prices. Home prices, as you've probably seen, are still rising. You know, just like the price of bread and everything else in today's economy, the houses are going up, but they're now moving up at a healthier pace. And what do I mean by that? Post-COVID years, we were seeing price increases year over year in the teens percentage-wise. So 12% to 15% increases in prices. It was very much a seller's market. Today, the pace has slowed down to a 5% steady increase in home values in Rhode Island and 2% in Massachusetts. And again, we talked about the median prices, which is all good. But what I want you to know is that it's showing steady long-term growth and some good news for buyers. Since the market is cooling its pace a little bit in that price rise, it's giving more opportunity for the buyers to negotiate on price, because frankly, there's a bit less of a hype and a competition. It's not like Black Friday out there, you know, getting these houses. And so that shift is good. So if you're looking to buy, it's great to have a bit more power on your side and not so much all one-sided towards the sellers. Now let's consider some of the other trends in 2025. We talked about price, but market conditions is important. Now, I mentioned that the values are continuing to increase, though at a healthy rate, which is great. If you want to buy an asset that is going to continue to appreciate. But the other good thing helping you here is inventory is actually growing. We've had very sparse inventory over the past few years. If you have been shopping around, you might pull up your Zillow and be like, gee, there's no houses for sale in my town, or very few. Well, inventory is showing, and there's strong signs of that. Though it's not where we want it to be yet, it's growing, and it's a good curve to be on. So the other thing we're noticing, which again is great for buyers, is homes are taking a little bit longer to sell now. So that's because there's more inventory and the prices aren't soaring like they were. So again, sellers now are becoming a little bit more flexible to give on the price or certain contingencies. That's important. And lastly, rates are falling. They're not falling to the floor like they were years ago, but we might never see 3% rates again. What we're seeing right now, as of today, 30-year fixed mortgages, you're looking at a 5.9 to 6.2%, depending on the lender that you're going to. So again, these are historically outstanding rates. All right, now what does this all lead me to? Is it a good time to buy? And most agents will tell you, I don't have a crystal ball, but blankety blank. I'm going to tell you, I also don't have a crystal ball, but from personal experience, I find it's still a great time to buy. And this is actually my personal purchasing history. As I mentioned earlier, I started out in 2014. I started with a multifamily. Then I went on to buy some single family investments and a personal home. Rounding it out here in 2025, I actually scooped up a little beach cottage in Matunic, Rhode Island. So as a realtor, as an investor, I want to express to you, I find it's still a good time to buy. And I have friends who are both in real estate and not in real estate who have sat for years. One's coming to mind. I have an appraiser friend who told me probably around 2016, 2017, when I bought my second house, he wasn't liking how the market was looking. He thought there would be a drop or a crash. And as soon as that crash happened, within a year or so, he was going to hop on a multifamily. Well, now another 6, 7, 8 years has gone by. That crash has not come to fruition yet. And I've continued to buy, and I've continued to renovate and rent and profit from these properties and live in a wonderful home. So the point is, if you're smart about it and you have a good realtor on your side, there's still some great deals to be had where you can own a piece of the pie and have some equity in a home. All right, so what are the steps to home ownership? This might seem very basic to many of you, but it's worth saying because some of you, this is your first foray into the process. So number one, you're making moves. You came to this class. So, this is what I like to call freemium information. Enjoy the class, learn everything you can, take notes. If we never see each other again, that's fine. I'm happy to help you tonight. So that's great. Next, we're going to talk about this in a little bit more detail, but you want to get a pre-approval. So that is a critical step in purchasing a home. If you are a cash buyer, meaning you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank, enough to purchase your next home, that's fantastic, but you are the minority. The majority of us would be seeking support from a bank or a lender to finance our purchase. So it's very, very important to get pre-approved, and I'm going to talk about why very soon. After you've gone through pre-approval, the house hunt begins. So you team up with your realtor and you start looking. Finally, if you find something you like, you make an offer. We're going to assume the offer is accepted. You'll go through some inspections and some appraisals. And then, boom, the final big step everyone's been waiting for, you move into your dream house. So that's the basics, but you see I have a swimming pool here, so let's dive into it, shall we? All right. Now I'm going to step you through the most common home buying mistakes that I see day in and day out, and I look to prevent them with any of my clients. So you're going to see here the mistakes, and I'm also going to show you the tips and tricks to avoid and seize opportunities. And again, if you want a private meeting, these little QR codes will show up here, and there. So feel free to book one with me, but here we go. So mistake number one, not getting a pre-approval. That is a big mistake. Probably number one, and that's why I put it as number one. So what is this all about? Well, first off, I'm going to start basic for some of you who don't even know what pre-approval is, but you see I put a little definition here. Pre-approval: verified confirmation from a lender of how much you can borrow. And this is based on your actual finances. So in layman's terms, it means you have a letter from a bank or a lending institution that says, Mr. Buyer X, Y, and Z is approved to purchase a home up to blank value. We'll just say 500,000 for sake of argument. So now with that letter saying, yes, Mr. Mathew Card can afford to purchase a house for $500,000, I can take that and I can go shopping in the market. So why is this important? Number one, you want to know what you can actually afford. You don't want to go out there and waste your time looking at houses that are way above your budget and means. So that's number one. But number two, it actually shows the sellers that you are a serious buyer. Sellers like to see that you've been pre-approved by a bank. Some sellers actually won't even let you view their property if you do not have a pre-approval letter. And say there's a property that just came on the market, you're very highly interested in it, there's an open house tomorrow. What are you going to do? You don't want to be scrambling for that pre-approval letter. You want to have that ready to go. So if you're starting your home search, start with a pre-approval now. And this is done through mortgage or loan officers. I have some great loan officers that I can refer who can walk you through this process, make it seamless. It doesn't cost you anything to get pre-approved. Zip. So again, this is something where your realtor can help you out and point you in the right direction. I know we spent a lot of time on this slide, but again, it's the number one mistake. Again, we covered a lot of this. Always get pre-approved. So you want to meet with that lender early in the process. You know, I'm not a loan officer, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it here. You're going to have to gather some key documents, you know, a repertoire of your financial life. So essentially income, assets, your credit info, they'll all be gathered here. And you'll be able to find out what your options are. Now, again, there's actually a lot of opportunity in choosing a loan that fits you. For example, if you're a first-time home buyer, you could get financing through an FHA loan, which would only require 3.5% down. So 3.5% of $100,000, for example, is $3,500. So that's very important to understand how much you need to put down, the different programs. There's Rhode Island housing programs that can support people in certain situations. And again, all of this can be navigated by meeting with your realtor and then going to an outstanding loan officer who can be your guide. All right. And last things, I love harking on this pre-approval one. There's 3 pillars to mortgage approval. It's going to come down to your credit, your income, and how much you can make for a down payment. So another quick fun fact, if you're shopping for a home right now, don't go out and finance other big purchases like a car or a crazy trip on a credit card. Try to keep all that in line as you're going through this process, because you're going to want that credit ready to go to purchase your home. All right, mistake number 2. How's everyone feeling out there? This is a big one yet again. Mistake number 2 is overlooking hidden costs. And there are many costs when it comes to buying a home, not just the sticker price. So I just want to show you this so you're exposed to it. But when you go to purchase a home, you know, you've agreed to purchase it, your offer was accepted, you've gone through all the inspections, you love it. Now you're going to come down to your closing costs, they're called. So there's an appraisal fee, which pretty much you're paying an appraiser to come out, assess the value of the home, make sure it's actually it's valued at the same price that you're willing to pay for it. Typically, you want that to line up, or even have it appraised a little higher, which is great. There's title and escrow fees. You know, these are fees through a lawyer, which, you know, again, that's someone that your realtor can recommend to you. I have some great lawyers, but when you purchase a home, the title has to be transferred over to you. There's certain processing fees. There's certain fees with the town, as all of this is updated and it's made clear that you are now the owner of this home. Finally, there's property taxes, there's homeowners insurance, and there's a fee for getting your home inspected. If you're buying a condo, you're also going to see HOA fees. You have to factor in some of your utilities fees, maintenance. And then finally, unless you've purchased a home built this month of this year, there's always unexpected repairs or upgrades that you should budget for. So again, these costs can be hidden, they can be in plain sight, but you got to factor for them. So how do you do that? I recommend always having a little extra padding for these hidden costs. 3 to 5% of the purchase price is an awesome amount to have set aside for these hidden costs. And you might even want to consider, what am I going to need for furniture, appliances, moving costs, etc. I love keeping a spreadsheet or some sort of budgeting app for clarity on all of this. And again, you can review the costs with your agent or your lender, or both. All right, mistake number 3, skipping a home inspection. Now, you probably have friends or many others who bought during this hot market and they skipped their home inspections. It does happen. There are cases for it, but for a first-time home buyer, I will almost always recommend doing the home inspection. Now, why is that? When I bought my first house, I did a home inspection. It was important. I wasn't as seasoned, and everything I owned was on the line. So it was important to know that I was purchasing an investment where I could remove as many of the uncertainties as possible. So an inspection often reveals to you issues that you can't clearly see because you're not a professional. So it could be water damage, it could be kludgy electrical, it could be roofing problems. Maybe the shingles are, you know, cupping and they're old. All sorts of things could happen here. You could walk down the basement and the inspector might notice structural rot or cracks in the foundation that again could be structural issues. All these come up to big dollar bills. So important for first-time home buyers who are laying it all on the line, get your inspection. It helps protect yourself. All right. So again, in the process, you would hire a licensed professional inspector to look at the property. Attend the inspection if possible. It's important to lay eyes on it yourself and educate yourself so you become a more savvy buyer for the future. And the big thing about inspections, don't look at it as a negative when you're making your offer. When you're making your offer, yes, the seller might say, oh, gee, this guy wants an inspection. But think of it this way. If your inspection reveals something majorly flawed with the property, but you still love it, you still want it, you know you could overcome this flaw, now you have a negotiation point to go back to the seller. You'd be like, hey, listen, the foundation needs substantial repairs. Let's reduce the price of the home by X, Y, and Z. Boom, everyone finds a common ground. You get the home you want. The seller is able to sell. Because once you've uncovered something terminally ill with this seller's home, they're forced to disclose that to any future buyers. So their path of least resistance would probably still be negotiating with you. All right. So again, always get your home inspection unless you really know what you're doing out there. And even as a realtor that does renovations regularly, I can certainly point you in the right direction, but I'm not a licensed professional inspector. All right, mistake number 4, we're cruising here. So I find this a lot today. A lot of friends of mine who are looking for their first home, you know, they haven't taken the leap yet perhaps, or clients of mine, definitely clients, they're looking for their forever home, which can be a trap. You know, your forever home can evolve with you. So what do I mean by all this? It's the trap of perfection. And what you're doing is you're limiting yourself in some ways, especially so if you're a new buyer, don't pass up that great starter home because it has a couple small criteria off from what you want. For example, if one of your criteria is a fenced-in backyard, but you find a beautiful home with a private backyard in a great area for a competitive price, don't let the fence hold you up. It's actually not that costly to put in a fence, you know, and that something like a fence increases your home value as well. So now you're putting in sweat equity. All right, so it's being flexible. Another example, I have a buyer who's set on a certain town, and she keeps seeing properties that she loves show up in other towns, but she will not flex on this. And sometimes you do have certain things you're going to stick your guns to, but flexibility is important. Another example, I have a buyer just bought a home. This buyer really wanted a deck. The home we found didn't have a deck, but it had everything else. I mean, everything else. The granite countertops, the beautiful appliances, a pool, a patio, no deck. But guess what? She was flexible. So don't wait until you look like this guy on the right. Don't get caught in the trap of perfection. And again, here are some more points talking about how starter homes or even fixer-uppers, which I'm going to talk on a bit later, could become your dream homes. Okay? There's always potential to do some renovation. You might not be comfortable doing it yourself, but it's important to weigh the costs, even paying for renovations. How much value can that add to the home? Big things to focus on is the location, the structure, and the long-term value. Don't get hung up on the tiny things. All right. Mistake number 5. All right, this one's huge. Searching without an agent. Now, this is not a shameless plug to work with me. It is a critical mistake that many have made. And why is it a mistake? Well, it's called the solo search, and you're not as cool as Han Solo when you're doing it. What happens is you could often miss things. You know, if you're searching yourself, you may risk not seeing listings. I say that because many people are using Zillow and Realtor.com or Redfin. Let me tell you, those are not the ultimate source of truth. They're not the most up-to-date. Only a real estate agent has access to MLS. MLS is multiple listing service, and that's what actually feeds all these consumer sites like Realtor.com and Zillow. So if you want the most current listings and knowledge about the market, have a realtor help you. They'll be able to show you what comes up today, what is pending, what's active, what just went back on the market, but Zillow is still showing that it's sold. So there's a lot of benefits of having a realtor and having that person work with you. When you get to the point of actually making an offer and interpreting contracts and negotiating disclosures, if you don't have experience in that, it's time to turn over the reins to your trusty realtor, your partner in crime. So again, don't attempt to do this alone. Now, here's my shameless plug. Partner with a realtor for guidance. Again, I mentioned we can give you the most accurate listings and info. We know the local market and trends, especially Rhode Island, Southern Mass. That's my bread and butter. I can give you lots of details about the neighborhoods and communities that reside here. And again, realtors can negotiate those better deals, handle the paperwork. It's something we do as a job day in and day out. So it's important to rely on us. Big thing as well, realtor, especially one who has experience buying, selling, renovating, can help you identify those red flags early on. And that's key. All right, and now since we're talking about agents and realtors, I want to give you another big one that I see. It's going with the listing agent. And what I mean by that, if you're going to view a property, you don't, well, use a scenario, you don't have an agent. You've attended an open house, and now you're considering asking the listing agent to represent you. I'm going to say, no, don't do that. Why? Well, let's talk about it. Number one, it's really a conflict of interest for that listing agent. The listing agent has a signed contract with the seller. Their goal, their job, is to represent the seller and maximize the profit that that seller is going to get for their homes. They may not fight for your interest. You just met this listing agent. This listing agent may just see gold right there. You know, you've walked in, you're a buyer. Now they can make 2 commissions. Boom, let's get the deal done. That's not what you want. You might pay thousands of dollars extra because you don't have your own dedicated representation. All right, so the answer to that, just like he's saying here, hire your own buyer's agent. We work for you, okay? That's the whole thing behind this. And there's rarely an out-of-pocket cost. Now, let me explain why I say rarely. When you hire a buyer's agent, you do agree on a term of payment. So a commission, if you will, is typically how it is. Now, in 99% of cases, you would write the buyer's agent fee into your offer, asking that the seller pay that agent fee. That's how we see it happening today. And again, in 99% of cases, that's what is happening. Everything's negotiable. That's a conversation, but I want you to know both how it happens regularly, 99%, and I do want to let you know there's always other circumstances. So you can't come back and say, hey, Matthew, but I know this guy who paid his buyer's agent. That might have happened. They might have negotiated something slightly unorthodox, okay? So now back to the benefits. The agent would guide you through the paperwork, the legalities, again, provide market insight and advice. But the most important thing, you want that negotiator to be yours. You want that agent to be yours and on your side about this whole thing. When I work for my buyers, I'm only working for their interest, not for me, not for a seller, not for a property. I work for my buyers. All right. And when you hire a buyer's agent, make sure you sign a representation agreement. This is important because it commits the agent to you and you to them. and now you're in a partnership, and you both are going to be working together for you. All right. Moving on. Mistake number 7. Ignoring condo fees and rules. Now I bring up this one. This one might seem a little bit left field, based on everything we're discussing so far. But first-time home buyers in today's market are often looking at condos. And that's why I want to take time to touch on this. Condos are their own unique beast, and you don't want to ignore the uniquities that comes with buying a condo. So that's the fees and the rules in particular. All right, so condos, they come in all shapes and sizes. A condo could be a house on a large property with multiple houses, all part of an association. It could be essentially an apartment in a building. It could be a seasonal rental. It could be a 50 and over community. They look all sorts of different ways, and they also have many different rules and regulations depending on what condo you go to. So it's important, number 1, to know what the HOA fees are. What are HOA fees? They're homeowner association fees, and they cover basically operating that condo association, taking care of the landscape, the roofs, maintenance, anything that needs to be done to keep this whole condo association cohesive and functioning well. So some condos, I'm actually working with a couple condo buyers right now, and you'll see these HOA fees all over the map. Some fees as low as $100 to $300, others gang up $500. And that depends on the amenities the condos offer. That depends on the repairs that older condos might be incurring. There's so many factors with this. So your realtor can help you get all those condo docs so you can review the fees, and you can also review what these fees actually cover. So some condo HOA fees cover the utilities as well as the exterior maintenance. They might cover amenities like a gym, activities like a card room or wine and cheese nights, etc. So it's important to know what's included, and does it really matter to you? Are you paying money, good money, for something that matters to you in this condo association? Other thing to check for when you're looking at condos, you have your standard HOA fees, but there might be a special assessment. What's a special assessment? That's something outside of the normal condo fees. Essentially, the condo may recognize we need to put a new roof on all 5 of our buildings, and we need to do that within the next 3 years. Here's what we're going to do, the condo says. We're going to ask all of our condo members to pay a special assessment fee on top of your HOA fees for the next 3 years to pay for this capital expenditure. Okay, so when you're going to buy a condo, you might not want to walk into a condo situation where you're already going to be hit with a special assessment. It's important to take all this into account. All right, and just a couple other points here. When you're looking at the condo rules and restrictions, make sure they align with your goals for home ownership. Certain rules may limit, sorry about that. Certain rules may limit your ability to rent the unit or renovate. It might even limit your ability to have a cute pet like this guy on the right here. Again, there's just different limitations, and every condo is like a different slice of cake. Some's chocolate, some's cheese. You have to get in there and find out. Ask your realtor. All right, how are we doing on time? Not bad. Okay. Mistake number 8. Don't rule out fixer-uppers. This might not be for you, but keep an open mind. If you're somewhat inclined to building your own dream house, doing light renovations, it's something that you should consider. And I'm going to talk about both sides of the coin here. So this is actually a picture from my my personal home, doing some renovations. I was kind of taking care of some structural rot and framing in the posts with some new trim and breathing value into my home, essentially. So why are fixer-uppers worth considering? Well, they're often priced below the market value. And with some upgrades, you could have a home worth much more than you purchased it for. And hopefully you won't lose your shirt in the process. So there's the risk. You know, if you find a home that needs mostly paint and cosmetics to bring it up in value by another 100 grand, that's awesome. That's a win all day long. That bleeds into some of these other points here. You can build equity faster. What is equity? Equity is the value that you own in the home. Okay, so say you buy a home for $300,000, and in, we'll say 5, 6, 7 years, it's worth $500,000. Now you've built $200,000 in equity. So if you go to sell that home, you would pay off your $300,000 note and you would walk away with $200,000 in equity. Okay, so most homes are naturally building equity. You know, I showed you earlier that the home values are rising year over year. Right now in Rhode Island, 5%, Massachusetts, 2% is kind of the consideration at the moment. Again, those are averages. If you buy a fixer-upper with suppressed value, you could do a few things and pretty much leapfrog that whole process of the slow 2.5% year-over-year scale of value increase. So, I mean, this is fun, and this is something, if you're interested, I could talk to you in more detail about. This is really some of my bread and butter here, and it's important to show you that I've built a lot of wealth doing this. Now, again, it's not for everyone, and you need to know the risks, and you have to work with someone who's been down these roads before. So, buying a fixer-upper, it can come with unexpected repairs that can quickly, as I say here, inflate the costs. You know, you go in thinking, okay, this is mostly cosmetics, some paint, some spackle, and then you look down and you're like, uh-oh, what's that water leak? You find out you have, I don't know, 4 burst pipes. Now you're talking plumber has to come in. Now you're talking, oh, what damage did that do to the subfloor? How long has that been leaking for? Is there rot? Do I need to do structural repairs? So it can snowball. So it's important to know the risks of buying a fixer-upper. And again, if you're new to the game, what do we recommend? An inspection. Even when buying fixer-uppers, an inspection is still recommended. Financing can be a bit more complicated depending on how big of a fixer-upper you're looking to do. There are unique loans designed to help you renovate your fixer-upper. I've actually personally used a renovation loan in the past. It's worked out well. I've used all sorts of different loans, financing, and cash over the years. Would love to chat with you about that. The last big point here, be realistic. Be realistic about your skill level. If you don't want to do the work yourself, be realistic about your budget. Be realistic about the timeline and what you're committing to. So again, fixer-uppers, very cool, not for everyone. Now you know some of the pros and cons. So what are the next steps? You know, I covered, those were some of the major pitfalls. There's many more, but I'm trying to squeeze you guys into 45 minutes. So, you know, we might need a personal consultation if you want to dive more. What are the next steps here? And I'm calling it out there. You know, if you feel so inclined, book a call with me. It's free. I'd love to talk to you and understand what your home ownership goals are. Number 2, get pre-approved. This is so important. After you meet with a realtor, whether it's me or someone else, That's great, but now you have to get pre-approved and understand how much you can afford, okay? Third, go shopping for that home. You've got your power team now. You have your realtor and you have your loan officer, all right? So we're cruising towards the end. I'm going to take on some questions in just a moment. But again, I want to talk. I do have a little giveaway. I know some of you may have seen the ads and are interested in that as well. When you book a consultation with me, you'll be entered automatically in a raffle for an awesome haunted Lego home. It actually lights up at night. I'd love it for myself or even for my nieces and nephews, but mostly for myself. So that's pretty cool. Again, that's just a side benefit of booking a consultation with me. What will happen is if you choose to meet with me and discuss your home ownership goals, you can scan this QR code with your phone. It would bring you to the ability to book on my calendar directly. We could schedule a quick 30-minute call. Painless, I'm telling you, it'll be fun. You can also use this website here, calendly.com/MathewCardRealtor/30min. All right, and again, that information is shared again here. You got the QR code, you get the Calendly link, and you got my name and information. Feel free to grab a pencil or take a picture of all of this. I'm available for you. But I want to open it up here in the chat. I know everyone has been watching me for a while, but what I really want to know is, does anyone have any questions? This is your time to shine. Lay them on me. Throw your questions in the chat. It's important to ask questions in the real estate process, let me tell you. And whether you ask them tonight, that's okay. But when you meet with your realtor, come with your questions, come with your concerns. You want to feel someone, what I want to say is you want to feel comfortable with who you're working with in terms of a realtor and a loan officer. You're really a team. My clients, they look to me for guidance both on negotiating, navigating the market. There's a little bit of therapy involved. And it's important to be able to jive with your realtor and be able to lean on their experience. So I hope that I've conveyed that tonight. I hope you found benefit stepping through these common mistakes and pitfalls. And it's really been a wonderful evening. I'll be looking to do more of these. I might actually bring a loan officer or an appraiser into my next webinars. So stay tuned for that. And I wish everyone a great evening, and I'll see you soon. So I'm going to close off for tonight. Good night, everyone.